Hey, it's Taylor. I'm the Wellness Center Manager here for Loudoun County Fire and Rescue, and today you're joining me for an advanced yoga session. There will still be plenty of options to do more of what we did in the intermediate and beginner class. So if you are looking for that, I do have 2 other videos. Otherwise, I will give you plenty of options to modify today. So still, no matter what, we're all able to do this together. So today we're actually going to begin in a standing position. So this standing foundational position here is just called mountain pose. What I'm going to ask you to do is you can close your eyes first, and then we're just going to settle into our feet, basically ensuring our feet are stacked underneath of our hips and our shoulders stacked over top of that. Then we'll drop our hands down to the side and just start to focus on the breath. What I mean by that is just focus on the rising and falling sensation you may feel, perhaps through your stomach, through your chest. Maybe each time you exhale, you feel your feet getting a little bit heavier here. If you haven't already, on your next exhalation, let your shoulders drop. The upper body is stable. Your shoulders are nice and relaxed here. Make sure that weight is evenly spread through the feet. Really trying to press through that foundation. Kind of screwing the feet into the ground a bit. A little bit of tension through our quads, slight bend in the knee here. Core should be engaged. Now that we're settled in, I'm going to walk us through a body scan. What that body scan looks like is I'll take us through from our feet all the way up to our head. All I want you to do is notice any sort of sensation you might be experiencing. Perhaps it's tension, pain, tightness. Maybe you feel the air blowing on you, whatever the sensation is. The idea is that we're just tuning into that part of the body, not trying to change anything. So let's go ahead and begin at our feet and our ankles. For example, I'm just noticing the contact with my feet on the mat here. Moving up into my shins and my calves. Up through my knees and into the muscles of my upper leg. Maybe you're noticing the tensions in your quads with the slight bend here. Ensuring your breath stay nice and deep in through the nose. Moving into the muscles of the hips and the low back. Through the stomach. Maybe just noticing the rising and falling of each breath. Close in contact with it. Again, not trying to alter anything, just becoming aware. Checking in with the low back, mid back. Moving into the upper back and the traps. to the chest. Just gliding down the arms from the shoulders, through the elbows, all the way down to the fingertips. Lastly, just checking in with the muscles of the neck and of the face. Noticing if we're carrying any tension here. And just gently returning your focus back to the breath, to the sensation of air going in through the nose, filling the lungs, and out through your mouth. Starting with focusing on breath really allows us to get in the space to continue it throughout our practice today. So if at any point you get distracted or need a break, you can always come back to this foundational mountain pose here. Just take a breath and reset. On our next exhalation, just gently open our eyes. Allow our body to become loose. We're just going to step into a nice wide stance as we begin our warm-up here. So feet just outside of your hips, toes slightly turned out here. We're going to start with sun pose. So how that's going to work, as we inhale, we'll sweep our arms out, facing up, and exhaling, we'll press down and in. Inhaling, sweeping out, exhaling down. Just so you can see what this looks like from the side. As we inhale, my body stays nice and upright. Exhaling down and pressing up through my glutes, through my legs here. Inhaling, trying to get a little bit deeper each time. Exhaling out. Good. A few more times here. From this, we're just going to transition to sunflowers, a little bit different. But as we inhale, we'll reach out and up. And exhaling, slight bend in the knee. And we're just going to start to hinge at our hips here. Down. Inhaling, we come up, pressing through those feet still, squeezing the glutes. Exhaling, we come down, bending, starting to warm up the hamstrings here. And notice my nice flat back. As I come up, I'm standing up nice and straight. 2 or 3 more times here, all at the pace of your own breath. Good. Inhaling, we'll come up this time. Same position of our legs here. You can reset if you need to. We're going to start off in a 5-point start here. Arms are going to be nice up and overhead, reaching. Try to feel that tension in your shoulders. And as we inhale, we're going to squat down with our lower body like we were doing before, but this time we peel those shoulder blades back in together. Then we exhale up, reaching back into that 5-point start. So it's really more of a full body warm up here. Hopefully we're able to get a little bit deeper into that squatting position. Chest is nice and upright. Again, I'll turn so you can see what that looks like from the side. Peeling those shoulder blades back, really pressing through all 4 corners of the feet, reaching up and overhead. Hopefully you're starting to feel the muscles get warm as we're getting warmed up here. Bring that heart rate up. One last time. Good. Stepping up to the top of our mats. We're going to work through chair flow here. So chair, as we inhale, we'll just sit back into our heels. Exhaling, we'll just press nice and upright. This is pretty easy for you as you inhale. You come up into balancing chair for a moment. Exhaling, dropping down and pressing up. Core nice and tight as we sink. Coming up if we like, pressing up all four corners of the feet, squeezing those glutes. One last time here. Really getting warmed up. Challenging your balance a little bit. Good. Standing nice and upright. We're gonna move into our swan diving to forward fold. So as we inhale here, we reach out and up. Swan diving, hands come out straight to the side, hinging at the hips. Exhaling down to a forward fold. Inhaling, we come up, using those hamstrings. Exhaling, we come down. Last one to warm up our hamstrings here. Really allow your body to get into it. Inhaling, pulling up with those hamstrings, squeezing at the top. Exhaling, we drop back down. One last time, inhaling up. And exhaling down into a forward fold. Holding just for a breath or two. Stretch out one leg and then the other. If that position's not comfortable, you can always just find a flat back and place your hands. Place your hands just above your knee here. Good. Inhaling, we'll come up and we'll find our standing mountain pose once again. So again, heels, hips, shoulders all in line, arms down, shoulders relaxed. We're going to get into our sun salutations. So sun salutations are one breath, one movement. We'll do it slower the first time and go through 3 times in total. So for sun salutations, we start in mountain pose here. Inhaling, we reach out and up. Exhaling, we swan dive to forward fold, planting the hands. Inhaling, we step back with the right foot, finding a left lunge. Exhaling, we step back with the left foot and press back through our hands to downward facing dog. Inhaling, we'll rock forward to high plank. Exhaling, we'll turn on those triceps and lower halfway. Flipping the toes, inhaling, press upward facing dog. Exhaling, we'll drop the chest, tuck the toes, up and back into downward facing dog. Inhaling, right toes come forward into a right high lunge. Exhaling, left toes come up to meet the right into a forward fold. Inhaling, reverse swan dive up to the top of the mat, hands come to prayer, and we sit back in the chair pose. A little bit faster this time. Inhaling, we rise. Exhaling, we fall. Planting hands, inhaling back with the right toes. Exhaling back with the left, downward facing dog. Inhaling, we rock forward, high plank. Exhaling, we lower halfway. Flipping the toes, inhaling upward facing dog. Exhaling, dropping the chest, tucking the toes up and back, downward facing dog. Inhaling, right toes come forward. Exhaling, left toes step up to meet the right. Inhaling, reverse swan dive to the top, hands come to prayer. Exhaling, we sink. Hopefully you're all getting warm here. Inhaling, we rise. Exhaling, we fall. Inhaling, hands down, right toes back. Exhaling, left toes back, downward facing dog. Inhaling, plank. Exhaling, halfway down. Flipping the toes, inhaling, pressing up. Exhaling down, downward facing dog. Inhaling, right toes come forward. Exhaling, left step up to meet the right. Inhaling, reverse swan dive up to the top, hands come to prayer. Exhaling, we sink. Inhaling, we rise. Finding our breath once again. Finding that mountain pose here. Feel my heart beating a little bit. Hopefully you guys are there. We're nice and warmed up, ready to get into our work phase here. One breath or two. Good. And we're going to start our work phase with just a nice chest expansion. Bringing those hands out behind us, we'll clasp them. If that doesn't jive with your shoulder, you can always just press those palms together here. Inhaling, pulling those shoulder blades back together. Lower half of the body is still in mountain pose. Peeling those shoulder blades together, chest slightly turned upwards. Head's not tipped back, it's just in a neutral position here. This is pretty easy for you. You can always get a little bit more by tipping forward and allowing those palms to come, finding a bit of a forward fold with it. Allowing those hands to fall with gravity. Back should be getting nice and warm here. Good, inhale, pull up with those hamstrings, exhaling, release the hands. All right, moving into our warrior phases here, finding that mountain pose, nice and strong through our base. Always two options with the arms. We can come up and overhead. We can bring them down to our hips if it's not working for our shoulder today. So, starting with the left side, inhaling, we're gonna sweep the right toes back, left arms come up and overhead, finding our warrior one. Back right toes, turn towards the front right corner of the mat, front foot facing forward. Nice bend in the knee, hips squaring up, find your warrior one, trying to turn that right crease forward, arms pressing towards the back wall. Breathing into the pose, allowing yourself to sleep. On our next exhale, we'll drop our arms, front foot stays where it is, back toes turn towards the long side of the mat. We'll really sink into that front leg, getting a little bit lower. Take a minute, look to see if your heels are lined up on your mat. Square up those hips. Palms nice and relaxed down. Inhaling, we're gonna reach back, front leg stays where it is, right hand comes just above or just below that back knee into reverse warrior. This hand is just nice and lightly placed here. We're reaching up and overhead, really activating those left obliques here. Front quad should start burning a little bit as we find our tension here. Back hand just loosely here. Breath. Good. Inhaling, we'll come up, cartwheeling our hands down to free that front foot. Stepping back, we exhale into a downward facing dog. Inhaling, we'll rock forward to plank. Exhaling, we lower down. Flipping the toes. Inhaling up. Exhaling, we lower. Tucking those toes, pressing up and back. Inhaling, we're just gonna walk our feet to the top of the mat this time. Find a forward fold. Inhaling, reverse, swan diving to the top. Hands come to prayer. We'll sink into chair pose. Inhaling, we rise. We're gonna repeat that same sequence on the opposite leg now. So, settle into your mountain, make your adjustments, take a breath. Let's move into that right side. Inhaling, sweeping arms up and overhead, or onto your hips, whatever works for you. Find that warrior one, bending through the front knee, squaring up that hip, toes towards that front left corner of the mat here. Really pressing those hands back to that back wall, making sure shoulders are tall over your hips. And the next time we exhale, we'll open up warrior two. Again, adjust that foot as needed. It should be facing the long side of the mat, pressing through that front leg. We should feel this both in our quad and the inside of that left leg now. Shoulders square, stacked, arms relaxed down. Front quads let me know it's working right now. Making sure we're really pressing into it, pressing that mat apart with our feet here. Inhaling, we'll reach back. Exhaling, palm comes to the leg, reaching up and overhead. Nice oblique stretch here. Chest should be nice and open. Pressing through that front leg. Good. Inhaling, we'll come up. Cartwheel our hands to frame that front foot. Exhaling back into a downward facing dog. Inhaling, we rock forward into high plank. Exhaling down. Moving through our half series here. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Inhaling, we'll walk or jump to the top of our mat here. Exhaling and go forward. Inhaling, reverse swan dive to the top. Hands come to prayer. Exhaling, we'll sink down in the chair here. Inhaling, we rise. Once again, resetting. We're going to do a sequence on both the legs again here. A little bit different, challenge our balance a bit. One last breath. Inhaling, warrior one, left side, sweeping those toes back. Same position as before. Hopefully we can get a little bit deeper into it or it feels a little bit easier. Good. On your next exhale, we exhale down, warrior two. Pressing through that front knee still, shoulders relaxed down. Pressing our feet apart, keeping tension in both of our feet here. Good. This time we're going to challenge our balance a little bit. So inhaling, we'll straighten out that front leg. We're going to walk this foot in a bit. We're going to challenge our balance, moving into a half moon. So bending, reaching our arm down. Right foot comes up off the ground. You can touch the ground, great. If not, you can always grab onto a block. Back foot should be opened up, pulling that toe into the heel, pulling the toe into your shin. Eyes can be down or facing out. Just allowing your balance to challenge for one more breath here. And we'll exhale that foot down and cartwheeling into that lunge. Exhaling back, finding a downward facing dog here. Just a breath, maybe pedal out the feet. I'm sure that ankle was a little shaky. And this time as we inhale, we're going to inhale into a high plank, but we're going to roll onto the outside of that left foot and open up into a side plank here. If you find this to be a little tough right now, you can always drop one knee down, keep that hip nice and high, still work that left oblique here, or come down onto an elbow. I'll take this position for today, making sure my shoulders stacked over top of my wrist here. One more breath. And we'll exhale down into plank, pressing back into downward facing dog. Moving through the half series once more, inhaling, we'll rock forward, exhaling down. Flipping the toes, inhaling up. Exhaling, dropping the chest, tucking the toes, down and back. Inhaling, walking, we're jumping to the top of the mat for a little bit more. Exhaling into forward fold. Inhaling, reverse swan dive to the top of the mat. Hands come to prayer and we find nice chair pose as we sit back. Inhaling up. Good. Maybe a little sweaty for sure. So let's go ahead and refine our mountain. We'll do that same sequence on the opposite side. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up and overhead, left toes come back this time. Finding that warrior one once again. On this next exhalation, we'll open up warrior two. Again, making sure we're still pressing in through that front leg as we're getting a little fatigued here. Nice warrior two position, feet pressing the mat apart here. We're gonna move into that balanced pose. So we're gonna straighten out the front leg, maybe walk the foot in a little bit, bending through that front knee. We're gonna open up, however we get there is okay. Slight bend in that front knee, hip turned open, fingertips, hand on the ground, whatever works for you. These toes are pulled back to the shin, and eyes can either be facing out or straight down. You can really feel the balance, or the struggle rather, to balance on that right foot here. Both of my glutes nice and active. One last breath. Exhaling, we bring that foot down and cartwheel our hands down to that lunge. Exhaling back and finding a downward dog to rest for a moment. Pedaling those feet back and forth, maybe roll up the ankle for a second. One breath, and we'll move into it. Inhaling, we rock forward. This time we open up into a right side plank onto the outside of that right foot, feet stacked, chest open. Really pressing through our foundation here. As before, option to take a knee and stay open here if you would like, or dropping down to that elbow. Hip nice and high, keeping those obliques nice and active here. Last breath. Exhaling with control down, pressing back into a downward facing dog. Now we'll move through our half series. Inhaling forward, exhaling down. Inhaling up, exhaling, pressing down and back. Inhaling up to the top of our mats and exhaling into a forward fold. Inhaling, reverse swan dive to the top. Hands come to prayer and we sink. One last time. Inhaling, we rise. Great job. So that was our main work phase, and now we're going to move into another balance pose. So let's go ahead and re-find our mountain here. Take a few breaths just to get our stability back. Start bringing your heart rate down a bit, and as we will move into our cool down. Shoulders, hips, ankles all stacked. We're going to move into our balance pose called tree pose. Inhaling the hands together. And on our next inhale, we'll shift our weight into our left foot, opening that hip up and toes come up onto the leg. This is the starter position. If you want more out of this, you can bring that foot up and open those arms up and overhead. This hip should be pressing towards the back wall, and the base of this foot is pressing into the opposite leg. So we're trying to come together to our center. There's always the option to lift your gaze or try to close your eyes for a breath or two to really challenge our balance here. The next time you exhale, we'll just bring our hands down, back to prayer here. One more inhale. And as we exhale, we gently lower the toes down and close up the hip. You can roll out that ankle, taking a few moments, a few breaths here before we get settled back into mountain and do the same thing on the other side. Palms forward, resetting in the mountain here. Next time we inhale, we sweep those hands up, finding prayer position. Once again, inhaling, shifting the weight into the right foot this time, bringing those toes up. Finding the variation of chair or finding the variation of tree pose that works for you today. Maybe arms are up and overhead. Maybe we notice, like me, that one side is a little harder to balance on than the other here. I won't try to take my eyes closed this time. Maybe I'll just take my gaze up because I can tell that my right foot is a little bit harder to balance on. Keeping that knee pressed back just for a few more breaths here. And the next time we exhale, we'll bring those hands down. Exhaling, closing the hip, dropping the foot slowly, stepping out, and stretching out that calf. All right, so let's really start to cool it down. We are going to do a little bit of core as we get down, but we'll finish in our nice relaxing back position here. So let's go ahead and step up to the top of our mat. Just going to inhale our arms up and overhead. And as we exhale, we're just going to bend our knees, squatting down, coming to a kneeling position. And if this does bother your knees, you can always roll up the end of the mat and kneel onto that like I will do because I have a bruise on my knee right now, so this is going to feel a lot better. Nice and tall, feet can either be pressed or you can tuck them under if you feel more stable there. We're going to make fists and bring them around to the lower part of our back here. Pressing the elbows together first, kind of like that chest expansion position. Press those elbows together. And then on an exhale, we're just going to drop the shoulders and the head back. Using our fists to press our back forward. Should feel a little bit of a stretch in your back, but also a strain on those core muscles. I'm not allowing the head to tip back completely. It stays neutral. Just moving into a kneeling camel position here. Warming up the core a bit, getting it ready to work. Stretching out the back, pressing those shoulders together. Inhaling, pull up with the core. Relax down. You can unroll the mat here, so we're going to need the length of it. We're going to drop down onto our chests, laying nice and flat here. Palms are going to sweep out and behind us, facing upwards. Toes are going to come together, pressing our feet together, or pressing our knees together. And on an inhale, we're going to lift the toes and the palms at the same time as the chest comes up. Finding a locust position, you should be able to feel this through your triceps as those palms press up. And as we press our knees together, we can feel this through our glutes, and our low back, hamstrings. Keeping the chin tucked, looking maybe just beyond the mat as a focal point here. Holding for a few breaths. Working those core muscles on the lower part of our back. And exhaling, we'll drop the chest and the toes. Inhaling, we're going to bring both feet up. And if you can't quite grab onto it, you can always do a single leg. So holding onto one ankle, bringing the other arm overhead, and doing bow pose this way. But today, I'm going to grab onto both ankles. And as I inhale, I'm going to lift my chest up and also pull on my ankles to really get a stretch through my biceps. And I'm pulling on my low back here a bit. This is certainly a flexibility challenge and you may feel some pressure. Obviously, if you feel pain, maybe we drop, we move to that variation and just do one side at a time here. We're just gonna hold this for a few breaths here. as we exhale with control, we'll lower down and let those feet drop. Pressing underneath our palms, we're gonna inhale up to all fours and sweep our feet around. Finding a nice V position here with our core and our legs, knees together. We're gonna move into a boat pose. So hands will come to the side of our knees here. And as we inhale, lift up, activating our core. This is the beginner version of boat pose. You're also welcome to bring those feet up and over, straightening them out for a little bit more of a challenge here. Again, if you find that maybe that's too hard, you don't quite have the mobility, we can always drop back in, shins parallel to the ceiling here. Continuing to breathe. You feel our core getting a little shaky here. And exhaling, we'll drop those toes down. Bringing our hands behind us, fingertips pointed forwards, just underneath of our shoulders here. We're gonna walk our feet to about hip distance wide. And as we inhale, we're gonna press our hips up towards the sky. So feet should be underneath knees. Arms are nice and straight as we're pressing through those shoulders, lifting the butt up to the sky to find a nice tabletop position. Should be really a straight line from the top of your head, or your forehead rather, all the way to your knees. Should be pressing through the foundation of your hands and your feet, and really feel this all over your body. Glutes, hamstrings, your quads as they're trying to stabilize your core. I'm really feeling this through my arms right now. Just a few more breaths. Keep those hips high. And exhaling, lower down with control. Good, let's get into the good stretching here. So bring those feet together, finding a butterfly position. And I'll face you guys now. So feet nice and together, giving those arms a rest, sitting up nice and tall. And as we exhale, we just allow gravity to take over. Each time we exhale, just perhaps falling a little bit deeper into these stretches. On our next inhale, we'll use our core to lift ourselves up. We're going to allow our feet to come out into a straddle position. Your straddle doesn't have to be as wide as it possibly can. You just want to get to a point where when you lean forward, you're going to feel a stretch here in your groin. So I'm going to slightly bend my knees, but just make sure that my feet are turned upwards. As I inhale, I'm sitting up nice and tall. Exhaling, keeping those kneecaps towards the sky and finding position that really feels good for the inside of both of my legs here. And perhaps with every exhale, you just walk out a little bit more. Stretching should be a little uncomfortable, but you shouldn't be in a lot of pain. Time you inhale, you can walk yourself up. We're gonna bring our feet together here. We're gonna find a glute stretch. So I'm gonna turn just to the side so you can see this a little bit better. So inhaling, we'll bring one of our feet. So let's do left foot over top of right knee here. And we'll bring that right foot in. Now if this is challenging for you balance-wise in the hips, you can always just walk yourself down onto your back. Bring your hands through your legs and just pull on the back of that hamstring, finding a nice glute stretch here. The important thing is anytime your foot crosses the other knee, you want to make sure your toes are pulled back here. That'll really help protect all of the ligaments in this knee here and keep them nice and stable. And the next time you exhale, you can go ahead and either lower the foot to the ground, or if you're seated upwards, you can straighten out that leg. And we'll go ahead and switch to the opposite side. Crossing the right foot over this time, bringing that left leg up. And I will just stay upright this time so you can see what that looks like on the other side. Again, toes nice and active. And I'm really trying to press this knee forward without pressing on it here. Sitting up nice and tall to get more out of the stretch here. Always breathing through these stretches, especially when I'm trying to get a little bit further into them. As you exhale, you can release that. And if you're on your back, feel free to stay there. Everyone else, let's go ahead and exhale, lowering onto our backs here. From here, we're just going to find our final relaxation or our final resting position here. For some of you, it may feel good to be flat on your back, allowing those toes to fall out. If that doesn't work for you, maybe it's just, it causes some discomfort, you can always put a blanket or a foam roller underneath your knees. Or my favorite option is bringing the feet up together and just allowing myself to be in a butterfly position for my lower body here. And I will just gently rest my hands on my stomach. So I just begin to lengthen my breaths, allowing myself to become more relaxed into the mat. Let's first just notice the points of contact of our bodies against the mat. Maybe starting at our head, noticing as we exhale how it relaxes onto the mat. It becomes heavy. Perhaps your shoulder blades, your upper back. Maybe your elbows or your fingertips. All we're doing is simply noticing the contact. The glutes, the low back. Whatever part of your legs and feet are touching. Just gently returning your focus back to the rising and falling of the breath. For the next couple of minutes, I'm going to challenge you to try to stay focused on the breath. We have a natural tendency for our mind to wander or to become distracted. And the breath is this really easy and practical tool to come back to recenter us. So just for a few minutes on your own, Spend time breathing. And as you become distracted, just come back to that feeling of the rising and falling of breath. Take as many minutes as you'd like, even after this video ends. As I leave you with namaste.